In all of recorded human history, no alien civilization had ever dared to declare war on us. Not because we were particularly fearsome, though our military capabilities were nothing to scoff at, but because we had earned a peculiar reputation across the galaxy. You see, humans had this annoying habit of turning seemingly hopeless situations into spectacular victories. We were the underdogs who refused to stay down, the species that somehow managed to survive and thrive against all odds. The massive galactic empire learned this lesson the hard way when they decided to flex their military might in our direction. I still remember that fateful morning when their capital ships first appeared in our solar system, their hulls gleaming like polished obsidian under Earth's sun. Their fleet was impressive, hundreds of warships stretching as far as our long-range scanners could detect. I was on duty at the Lunar Defense Station when their first transmission came through. The Imperial Commander's hologram flickered to life in our control room, his crystalline features arranged in what I assumed was supposed to be an intimidating expression. "Your species will submit to Imperial rule," he declared as if reading from a script he used 1,000 times before. "Resistance is—" But before he could finish his rehearsed speech, our Admiral Sarah Chen did something that apparently no species had ever done before. She laughed. Not a nervous laugh, mind you, but a genuine, heartfelt chuckle that seemed to catch the Imperial commander completely off guard. "I'm sorry," she said, wiping a tear from her eye, "but do you have any idea how many times humanity has heard some version of that speech throughout our own history? It never ends well for the would-be conquerors." The Imperial commander's expression shifted to what I can only describe as confused indignation. Clearly, this wasn't going according to his plan. "You dare mock the mighty galactic empire? We have conquered thousands of worlds." "That's impressive," Admiral Chen replied, her voice taking on a more serious tone. "But here's the thing. Humans don't like being conquered. We're really, really bad at it. Just ask anyone who's tried. Oh wait, you can't, because they're not around anymore." She pulled up historical footage on her console, projecting images of humanity's various conflicts and subsequent victories throughout history. "See, we have this annoying tendency to unite against common threats. We're quite creative when it comes to warfare, and we absolutely excel at asymmetric combat. Are you sure you want to be the first alien civilization to find out why we've been left alone all this time?" The silence that followed was deafening. For the first time, I saw uncertainty flicker across the Imperial commander's crystalline features. He had expected immediate surrender, or perhaps token resistance. Instead, he got a history lesson and a warning. "I'm going to do you a favor," Admiral Chen continued, her voice carrying the weight of humanity's violent past and the promise of its resourceful future. "I'm giving you one chance to turn your fleet around and go home. Tell your empire that Earth is not to be trifled with. We're not bloodthirsty, but we will defend ourselves with everything we've got. And trust me, we've got some surprising tricks up our sleeves." The Imperial commander's hologram flickered as he processed this unexpected response. In his thousands of years of conquest, no species had ever treated his threat of invasion with such casual dismissal. He opened his mouth to respond, likely with another rehearsed line about the Empire's mighty power, but then something caught his attention off-screen. His eyes widened slightly as he received what appeared to be urgent information. The next few moments would determine whether humanity would have its first interstellar war, or whether we had just talked our way out of an invasion through sheer audacity. The Imperial commander's response would shape the course of human history, assuming, of course, he made the wise choice. The Imperial commander's hologram flickered again, and I could see him struggling with his decision. His crystalline features hardened, then softened, then hardened again, like watching ice crack and refreeze in real time. Behind me, the entire control room of the Lunar Defense Station held its breath. The fate of our planet hung in the balance, determined by whether one alien commander could swallow his pride. Finally, he spoke, his voice notably less commanding than before. "Our scans, they're showing some rather unusual readings from your planet." He paused, his otherworldly eyes narrowing. "Weapons signatures we've never encountered before. Energy patterns that defy our understanding. And something else, something our systems can't even classify." Admiral Chen smiled, But it wasn't a friendly smile. It was the kind of smile that reminded me of a wolf watching its prey make a crucial mistake. "Those would be our contingency plans," she said smoothly. "We humans have a saying: hope for the best, prepare for the worst. We've been preparing for this moment since we first looked up at the stars." What the Imperial commander was detecting was Project Prometheus, humanity's best-kept secret. For decades, we've been developing technologies that didn't just match alien capabilities, but approached problems from completely different angles. While they mastered faster-than-light travel, we perfected quantum entanglement warfare. While they built bigger ships, we created smaller, deadlier solutions. The commander's next words confirmed our suspicions about their species. "But our intelligence indicated your civilization was only capable of limited space travel. Your colonies barely extend beyond your moon. You should be primitive." "Should be," Admiral Chen agreed. "That's exactly what we wanted everyone to think. Did you really believe we'd broadcast our true capabilities to the galaxy?" Humanity learned the art of deception long before we reached the stars. I watched as more urgent information seemed to reach the commander. His crystalline form actually shimmered with what I assumed was anxiety. "Our deep scans are being reflected? No, redirected. This is impossible. The energy readings are growing exponentially." That would be the mirrors activating, quantum fields designed to turn any scanning attempt into a feedback loop of false data. Another human innovation born from paranoia and preparation. We didn't just plan for invasion. We planned for every type of invasion we could imagine, and then we planned for a few more. "Commander," Admiral Chen's voice cut through his growing confusion, "I suggest you check your ship's navigation systems. You might notice some interesting anomalies there as well." The alien leader's image distorted as he presumably did just that. When his image stabilized, the look of superiority had been completely replaced by something approaching fear. "What have you done?" "Our quantum positioning array. It's showing contradictory coordinates. Multiple possible locations for Earth, all equally valid. We call it the Labyrinth Protocol," Chen explained, though we all knew this was just the tip of the iceberg. "Right now, your fleet is seeing thousands of possible Earths, each with its own unique defense signature. Care to guess which one is real? Or better yet, care to guess what happens if you guess wrong?" The control room remained silent as we watched the Imperial commander process this information. His species might have conquered thousands of worlds, but they'd never encountered one that had spent its entire history preparing for exactly this moment. They'd never met a species that turned paranoia into an art form, that saw every science fiction story as a potential blueprint for survival. But the commander's next transmission would reveal something none of us expected. Something that would make us question everything we thought we knew about the galaxy and our place in it. The Imperial commander's crystalline form seemed to ripple with something I'd never seen before in an alien species: recognition. "You're them," he whispered, his voice carrying a mix of awe and dread. "The lost ones. The species from the ancient warnings." Admiral Chen's confident expression faltered for the first time. "Excuse me?" she asked, and I could tell this wasn't part of any scenario we planned for. "In our oldest records," the commander continued, his voice growing stronger, "there are stories of a species that the precursors themselves feared. A species so unpredictable, so adaptable, that they were sealed away in a hidden sector of space for the safety of the galaxy." His eyes narrowed. "We always assumed it was a myth, a story to frighten young ones. But the signs, the impossible technologies, the way you think." The control room erupted in hushed whispers. The precursors were well known throughout the galaxy. An ancient civilization that had vanished millions of years ago, leaving behind only fragments of their advanced technology. But this was the first we'd ever heard about any lost ones. Our historians theorized that early human civilizations might have had contact with alien species. Admiral Chen responded carefully. "But being sealed away, that's quite a claim, Commander." "It explains everything." The alien leader pressed on, his earlier threat of invasion seemingly forgotten. "Why this sector of space was marked as forbidden in our oldest star charts. Why no empire ever expanded in this direction until now. The markers, the warnings, they weren't to keep you in, they were to keep us out." I watched as Admiral Chen processed this information, her tactical mind already exploring the implications. If what the commander said was true, it would explain so many of Earth's historical mysteries, the strange gaps in our earliest records, the inexplicable leaps in human advancement, the recurring themes in our mythologies across different cultures. Commander, Chen said finally, I suggest we both take a step back. You clearly have information we'd be very interested in, and she gestured to the still active defense systems causing chaos with their scanners. Well, we clearly have some surprises of our own. Perhaps we could, but before she could finish, every alarm in the Lunar Defense Station began blaring at once. Our sensors were picking up massive energy signatures, far larger than anything we'd seen from the Imperial fleet. Space itself seemed to tear open behind the alien ships, revealing swirling vortexes of impossible colors. No, the Imperial commander's voice was filled with genuine fear now. They're here. They followed us. We led them right to you. Who? Chen demanded, but I think we all knew the answer before he said it. The Watchers, he replied, his crystalline form pulsing with urgency. The guardians appointed by the precursors themselves. They're here to make sure you stay sealed away, and to punish anyone who dares to break that seal. The vortexes continued to grow, and through them we could see shapes emerging, ships of such massive scale that they made the Imperial fleet look like toys in comparison. Ships that seemed to bend reality around them, their very presence causing our most advanced sensors to simply give up and shut down. In that moment, facing an enemy that even our would-be invaders feared, humanity's greatest strength would be put to the ultimate test. Would our paranoia-driven preparation be enough against beings who had successfully contained our entire species once before? The answer to that question would determine not just Earth's fate, but perhaps the truth about humanity's entire history. As the massive Watcher ships emerged from their reality-bending vortexes, something unexpected happened. Our supposedly primitive defense systems, the ones we developed in isolation, began responding in ways we'd never programmed them to. The mirrors didn't just reflect the Watcher's scans. They started absorbing them, growing stronger with each pulse. The Labyrinth protocol evolved beyond its original programming, creating not just false coordinates, but entirely new dimensions of space. Impossible, the Imperial commander breathed, watching as his sensors tried to make sense of what was happening. Your systems, they're speaking to the precursor technology. They're remembering. Admiral Chen's eyes widened as she looked at her own displays. The quantum fields around Earth were resonating with patterns we'd never seen before, but somehow they felt familiar, like muscle memory on a planetary scale. It's not just the defense systems, she realized. It's everything. Every piece of technology we've ever created. We weren't inventing it. We were reconstructing it. The Watcher ships halted their advance, their impossibly vast forms seeming to ripple with what might have been confusion. When they finally transmitted a message, it wasn't in any known alien language. It was in perfect ancient Sanskrit. The seal was not to contain you. The message echoed through our systems, translated in real time. It was to protect you while you recovered, while you remembered. The control room fell silent as the implications hit us. Humans weren't sealed away because we were dangerous. We were sealed away because we were something else entirely, something that needed to be preserved. Your civilization, the Imperial commander's voice was barely a whisper now. It wasn't just any civilization, was it? You weren't just some species the precursors feared. His crystalline form pulsed with growing recognition. You were the precursors. Before Admiral Chen could respond, our quantum fields suddenly pulsed with energy we didn't know they could produce. Hidden structures beneath Earth's surface, buried so deep our most advanced scanners had never detected them, began to activate. Structures that had been waiting millions of years for this exact moment. That's why everything we built was so different from other species. I found myself saying out loud, we weren't copying anyone's homework. We were remembering our own. But as this revelation sank in, a new threat emerged. The Watcher ships began to move again, not in aggression, but in what appeared to be a defensive formation around our solar system. Their message was clear. Something else was coming. something that had been waiting for humanity to remember who we were. Through the still open vortexes, we could see new signatures approaching. These weren't ships, they were tears in space itself, wounds in reality that had never properly healed. And through these wounds, we caught glimpses of what had really caused the precursors, our ancestors, to seal away their own civilization and start over. Admiral Chen's voice cut through the growing chaos, steady despite the impossible situation. "Commander," she addressed the Imperial leader, "I believe we're about to find out why your Empire's oldest records warned you to stay away from Earth, and I suspect we're all going to need to work together if we want to survive what comes next." As if in response to her words, the ancient structures beneath Earth's surface began projecting something into space, not a weapon or a shield, but a message written in a language that predated human civilization, yet somehow every person in that control room could read it. A message that would change everything we thought we knew about our place in the universe. The message projected from Earth's ancient structures blazed across space in letters of pure energy. "The breach has reopened. The forgotten have returned. Protocol rebirth is now complete." As these words hung in the void between worlds, every piece of human technology, from our quantum defense systems to the simplest communications satellite, began to transform. "We didn't just hide ourselves away," Admiral Chen whispered, understanding dawning in her eyes. "We scattered our civilization into fragments, encoded our knowledge into our very DNA, and started over, not out of fear, but as a strategy." The tears in reality widened, and through them came horrors that defied description, beings that existed in dimensions our minds couldn't fully process, the very same entities that had forced our ancestors, the original precursors, to take such drastic measures eons ago. But this time, we were ready. The Imperial commander's voice crackled through our comms. "Your defense systems, they're not just defending, they're evolving, combining with our technology, with the Watcher's systems. It's like they're remembering a dance they performed ages ago." He was right. Every weapon, every shield, every scrap of technology humanity had ever created was transforming, revealing its true nature. Our paranoid preparations, our endless innovations, they weren't random. They were pieces of an ancient puzzle, finally coming together. "That's why we had to forget," I realized aloud. The Forgotten Ones could track advanced technology, could corrupt it, but they couldn't track what didn't exist yet. We had to rebuild everything from scratch, had to rediscover our knowledge naturally, so it would be pure, uncorrupted. The Watcher ships moved in perfect synchronization with Earth's defenses, their ancient guardianship merging seamlessly with humanity's reawakened knowledge. The Imperial fleet, understanding at last their role in this cosmic drama, took up positions that completed a pattern millions of years in the making. As the Forgotten Ones emerged fully into our reality, they found not the primitive civilization they expected, not the scattered remnants of a fallen empire, but something new. Humanity had done more than just remember its past. We had evolved beyond it. Admiral Chen's voice rang out clear and strong. "We didn't hide ourselves away to survive. We did it to change, to become something they couldn't predict or corrupt. Every war we fought, every hardship we overcame, every time we picked ourselves up from the ashes, we weren't just surviving. We were training." The Forgotten Ones struck with reality-warping powers, but every attack was met with a defense born from millions of years of human innovation. Our quantum fields didn't just deflect their attacks, they rewrote the laws of physics around them. The Labyrinth Protocol didn't just confuse their senses, it trapped them in paradoxes of their own making. But the true surprise came in the final moments of the battle. As our combined forces pushed the Forgotten Ones back, the ancient structures beneath Earth's surface revealed their ultimate purpose. They weren't weapons or shields. They were bridges, connecting every human mind on the planet in an instant of perfect clarity. In that moment of unity, we understood the final twist in our species' long game. We hadn't scattered our civilization and started over just to hide or to remember. We had done it to become something entirely new, a hybrid of what we once were and what we had become. Not just the precursors reborn, but something far more powerful. Humanity, with all its flaws, all its strengths, and all its endless capacity for growth. the Forgotten Ones, facing something they had never encountered in all their eons of existence, did the only thing they could do. They retreated, pulling back through their tears and reality, but not before we caught a glimpse of real fear in their unknowable forms, fear of what humanity had become, and more importantly, fear of what we might yet become. As the last of the reality tears sealed themselves, a profound silence fell over Earth's orbital space. The Imperial fleet, the Watcher ships, and humanity's transformed defense systems held their positions, creating a breathtaking display of unity that would have been unthinkable just hours before. Admiral Chen broke the silence first, addressing both our newfound allies and every human watching from the surface below. For millions of years, we thought we were alone in the universe, looking up at the stars and wondering if anyone else was out there. Now we know the truth. We weren't alone. We were just taking the longest way home. The Imperial commander's crystalline form shimmered with what I now recognized as respect. Your species rewrote its own history, buried its greatest achievements, and chose to evolve all over again, just for the chance to become something the Forgotten Ones couldn't comprehend. The sheer audacity of that plan. He paused, his alien features somehow managing to convey a smile. Perhaps that's why the Empire was drawn to Earth. Some part of us remembered who you were, who you could be. The Watcher ships began to power down their defensive systems, their ancient mission finally complete. They had never been our jailers. They had been our guardians, watching over humanity as we grew, changed, and finally remembered. Their final transmission was simple. The circle is complete. The new age begins. In the days that followed, we began to understand the full scope of what had happened. The ancient structures beneath Earth's surface contained not just our species' history, but a blueprint for the future. We had not only reclaimed our heritage as the precursors, but had transformed it through millions of years of human experience, human struggle, and human innovation. The Imperial fleet, rather than attempting to conquer Earth, became our first true allies in the new age. Their vast knowledge of the current galaxy combined with our reawakened ancient wisdom created possibilities neither civilization had imagined before. Together, we began the work of rebuilding the bridges between worlds that the Forgotten Ones had tried to destroy so long ago. But perhaps the most profound change was in how we saw ourselves. Every human achievement, from the first cave paintings to our most advanced quantum technologies, took on new meaning. We hadn't just been building civilization. We had been rebuilding ourselves, piece by piece, lifetime after lifetime, each generation adding something new to the grand experiment that was humanity. The Forgotten Ones had retreated, but we knew they weren't gone forever. They would return, perhaps with new horrors, new ways to corrupt and destroy. But next time, we would be ready, not just with our rediscovered precursor knowledge or our advanced human technology, but with something far more powerful, our capacity to change, to adapt, to become something new. As I stood in the Lunar Defense Station, watching Earth shine like a jewel against the backdrop of space, I couldn't help but smile at that irony. The Galactic Empire had come to conquer us, never knowing they were about to help unlock the greatest secret in the universe, that humanity's greatest strength wasn't in our weapons or our technology, but in our endless ability to surprise even ourselves. Admiral Chen put it best in her final transmission to the fleet. We spent millions of years forgetting who we were, so we could remember who we could become, and this is just the beginning. The stars seemed brighter that night, as if they too were remembering ancient connections long forgotten. And somewhere out there, in the depths of space, other civilizations were about to learn what the Empire had discovered the hard way, that sometimes the most powerful force in the universe isn't the one that conquers, but the one that chooses to begin again, no matter how many times it takes.